Guys, would you date an ugly woman? If she's ugly by my personal standards, then no, I wouldn't pursue her romantically. Fair and honest answer. Just because people can be shallow doesn't mean that being physically attracted to someone can't be part of your, for lack of a better term, decision process. Yeah, I mean personality is great for friendships, and if she's a good, cool and interesting person, then we would probably be good friends. But if there is no initial attraction, no matter how good of a person you are, there's no making up for that. Those mildly unattractive facial features are very subjective. Just because the girl or anyone else thinks those are ugly, won't mean that I automatically think they are ugly, too. But if I think she's ugly, then I won't date her. Dating someone means that I like personality and her look. Test results actually show that those mildly unattractive facial features are actually more attractive to certain guys. Conventionally attractive women are always rated near the same 7 to 9-10 range for all men. They have a bell curve basically. Girls with more defining features get a weird inverted bell curve. Some guys rate them ugly, while other guys rate them as hotter than conventionally attractive women. I am in the group of guys who find defined features more attractive. My best friend has always thought the girls I dated look weird. I consider them all 9.5s minimum. Noon is going to date someone they think is ugly, but ugly is subjective. All depends on how awesome she is. The way I see it is, if she's a pretty cool, personable character, I can probably find someone just like her that's more attractive. But if her personality is really super awesome and hard to be duplicated, I would have to think about it. I've developed crushes on girls of average attractiveness before, but that's after getting to know them for an extended period of time and becoming rather close friends for a while. Past that though, no, I wouldn't ask her out at a bar if I didn't know her already. Depends. Have found people really attractive, then I've got to know them. Shit works both ways. Ugly is such a vague term. I've dated girls with acne problems, super tall girls, overweight girls, girls with mannish features, girls with major scars. No problem. But I've also known a few girls that, no matter how winning their personality might be, just no. So if ugly just means below average looks, or specific unattractive feature, or something, no problem. If ugly means I find her to be the epitome of boner killer, then no. I have dated ugly girls before because I was either feeling pretty bad and having anyone actually be interested in me felt good, but I wouldn't do yet again. Despite me liking their personality etc., the lack of attraction is a major problem in a long-term relationship. Yeah, I mean the last girl I dated was that. My girlfriends told me I was settling and I'm not blind, but I always enjoy taking her out. It's not something I regret. Still has a hot body? Maybe. There's a difference between not really very pretty and ugly. I've dated a girl who wasn't that pretty, who some of my friends thought was ugly, but who I still found attractive enough to be interesting. So a qualified yes. No, I wouldn't do this. I would be friends with her if I liked her personality, but I don't have sexual relationships with women that I'm not physically attracted to. Well, this is very subjective. If her personality is great, and her body, I may give her a try. Only if you want to be happy for the rest of your life. I've woken up next to someone I perceived as ugly. I actually felt like a royal a-hole about it, as when I was drunk I must have seen some quality in her. But when sober, I just couldn't. I'll say here what I usually say in these threads: men in general are more holistic in judging attractiveness. If a girl has a slightly ugly face but her body is incredible, she's not ugly. Unless her face detracts from her attractiveness enough to outweigh her body's beauty, then she's not attractive. Personally, I tend to prefer a pretty face to a good body, so I would have a hard time finding a woman attractive. This thread should certainly have convinced you that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. No one is objectively ugly. Someone will find that girl attractive. By whose standards? I've been very attracted to girls who weren't considered pretty by my friends, and I've disliked the look of girls my friends found beautiful. I would, however, never date a girl I myself don't find physically attractive. What matters is if I find her attractive or not. If I do, I'd date her. I feel like ugly is something you can determine from a photo, while attraction may require interaction with the person. So I guess my answer is maybe. I have dated a girl that I considered ugly at first, but by the end of the relationship I found her really attractive even though her look hadn't changed. No, most men wouldn't. Looks do matter a great deal to men, and it's going to take one hell of an interstellar personality to compensate for the lack of good looks, especially when it comes to women. And truth is that 90% of women can't reach that mark. So no. I consider personality to be more important than physical attraction in a relationship. But that doesn't mean that attraction doesn't matter at all. I've dated girls that I felt were only slightly attractive, but never one that I thought was actually ugly. I guess it's possible that there's an ugly girl out there somewhere that's so awesome that I wouldn't care, but I've never met her. Yes and no. Let me elaborate. I faintly knew a girl for about 3 to 4 years who is a close friend of my ex-girlfriend. She has an amazing character and I liked her very much as a person, but I was not attracted to her at all physically. She has from my test too big a nose, too rough skin, too thin lips, totally flat-chested, a waist like that of a man without any curves. Although she was one of the uglier girls around, even though she has an athletic build. But then one day, I accidentally bumped into her in a disco, and we danced together for about 15 to 20 minutes. I dance swing now and then, and I never ever had any dance partner who was so synced to me. She understood me and we danced in perfect harmony for these minutes. After this dance, I thought she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. I remained so enchanted about her for several weeks, and also confessed my feelings. She also felt something for me, but things couldn't work out, because my ex would be hurt, and she didn't have the courage to proceed any further. After other few weeks, I had gotten over the fact that we could not be together. My infatuation was over. I still see her sometimes because of our common friends, but I no longer find her that attractive anymore. First of all, you fall in love with the person, their personality, etc., not their face or body. Do you think old people don't love each other? Or blind people? Do you think blind people can't love just because they can't see the other person? The body is just a car that we are driving. Yes, I would date an ugly girl, and for me she will be beautiful. Nah, I'd have sex with her, but I wouldn't date her. I know that sounds really shallow, but let me explain. I could totally deal if it were a casual hookup and we were on the same page about it. But if dating came up, I'd be afraid that because I wasn't attracted to her face, I would eventually start to resent her for it, and possibly feel trapped in the relationship because dumping someone cause they're ugly while acceptable is still a dick move. So I'd rather let her go on her way and find someone else that she's more comfortable with. Besides, my definition of ugly is probably someone else's 10. These things get pretty subjective. I have found that I can later be attracted to a girl with a great personality, who I initially didn't find attractive. I've also found that after a point, no amount of personality would make me attracted to a girl that was sufficiently unattractive. If there isn't any sort of attraction, then there's no way I'm dating her, and I'm not going to try to force the attraction, even if she were head over heels. Well, one time at the end of a party with a couple of friends of my girlfriend, she asked from all those girls that I saw which one I found more attractive. I said X was attractive despite being the less beautiful of all those girls that were in the party. And that was because I found her very polite and very sociable and didn't gossip like the rest of the girl. So yeah, I guess I would date a midly unattractive facial feature girl, but that was polite, had manners, and was very sociable and had interesting things to talk about. But of course I have my personal opinion about what I found attractive or not. If I don't find the girl physically attractive at all, I can't really say I would try to date her even having all those attributes that I said. I have dated average-looking women I wasn't physically attracted to because I eventually became attracted to them as a person. Unless your appearance is actually off-putting, I'm sure the same thing could happen with an ugly girl. I don't date people I'm not attracted to, period. In many cases, a great personality shines through and actually influences what I find physically attractive. I suspect it's the same for most other people too. If you like the person, you are more inclined to focus on their attractive points and ignore the less attractive ones, even physically. Since what is ugly is really subjective, it's always hard to say. I mean, ever since I found out what a bad person one of my exes was, I could not find her physically attractive anymore. Even though objectively she was, I just couldn't see it. Anyways, I don't think it's fair to either me or the other girl to date if I find her physically unattractive. I wanted to be the guy who says, I did, and it was great. But it wasn't. She was always comparing the way we look. Her. That girl was looking right at you. Nobody looks at me though. Me, well, she is my optometrist. She just couldn't understand that I loved her for who she was. Her friends made it worse by telling her she scored or did well for herself. No amount of support or consoling could make it better. She kept asking me why I hadn't cheated on her yet, why I wasn't trying for something better. She told me she wanted to adopt so that we wouldn't have ugly children. It became too much, and after a while and we separate. I've tried to be friends, but she won't. Sadness. Would you date an ugly person? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.